Okay, everybody, this is a response video to LukeHollowayTV. Luke, real protection training for women. So far, I think it's just part 1, part 2, and I think it's a very proactive. I think it's very positive. I think that you've got a very good thought. Just recently, I had a couple people come up to me and ask me, would you consider teaching a women's self-defense? And it was a female who came up and told me that, and I thought, also, wow, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, so I think we almost overlook it, and I mean, every once in a while you have a female or a woman in your class or whatever, and but most of the time they learn the same basic things. But as an example, if you're doing like a martial art or something, everybody learns the same thing. There's nothing is altered from one person or the other, usually not. But I think to be realistic, then Luke, you talked about some women they get a black belt, they get a shodan in karate or whatever it is, whatever rank, and they think that they're just badass. It gives them what you call a false confidence almost, and I think that's really true. Not saying, I mean, I'm sure that there's some karate women out there that could probably knock me out. No, I'm not going to argue against it, but I'm a pretty big guy. But anyhow, I just think for the average person, that's who we need to address. Anybody, any woman that feels a sense that they need something to protect them, or they need to know how to defend themselves, I think it's valuable, and there are definitely things that can be done. For example, you take a guy like me. If I go and I grab you, or try to pull you into a car, or whatever I'm going to do, you don't want to wrestle with me. You just don't want to. But what would you do? You would struggle, right? A lot of times you hear, the people, they struggle, whatever. But the fact is, women still get raped. They still get, murdered afterwards. I mean, just bad stuff. And I'm sorry if anything like that has ever happened to you. It's, there's nothing that I can say about that. There's nothing I can say about that. So, but it's very important, and it's important, I think, to prevent this kind of thing from happening. So. Awareness is huge, and I can't say enough about awareness. And it's really self-explanatory. It is so fundamental. It is one of the most fundamental things that you can teach somebody. Sure, we can get into all these kinds of techniques and stuff like that, which we can talk about that if I have time. But if you're not aware of what's around you or who's around you, plain and simple, you're open for an attack. It's just the bottom line. If and I've given some of examples, some of the short videos that I've done before and everything like that. But really, I mean, it's no matter where you're at. This is real life. You're walking through the parking lot. You're going to the ATM machine to get some money out. Whatever you are, whatever you got, I don't know. But for example, I've seen this a lot. I've seen women go into the store, they come out. I'm not stalking them, don't get me wrong, but I've just noticed this, okay? And they'll sit in their car, they'll get in their car, and then they'll sit there for like 10 minutes or whatever they're doing, and they're just sitting there writing something or doing something like that. Well, okay, could you think of a better way to do maybe something? For example, making the right decisions is also huge. And I'm sorry, guys, but some of it is so basic and so stupid to me that some people make just the completely dumbass decision to do things that they shouldn't do. They basically put themselves in dangerous situations. Now, obviously, if it's your job to go into dangerous situations and stuff like that, I completely understand that. Trust me. But for example, most people have a very basic common sense. And I'm not going to get into a discussion about what is common sense and blah 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 blah. And look, the point is if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and for some reason you have to go to an ATM, or maybe you work a night shift or something like that, and you go to this ATM and there's somebody that's there that you notice, you know, and maybe there's an ATM that's just down the street. I mean, don't you think that you might want to take the other route, go down the street and go to that ATM? You know, right there, you just, who knows, maybe it's harmless. Maybe the person wouldn't have done anything to you. But the point is that by making the right decision, you're going to protect yourself. That's the first place that it starts, in my opinion. But anyhow, I just, you know, don't put yourself in dangerous situations. And it's not just for women only, even though that this is for women. But if you're a guy, for example, and you know you're a black belt, or you know whatever, you've been studying martial arts for a long time, and you just think you're a badass and that you can just take on whatever, you know, okay, I'm gonna go walk up to the ATM with this guy there, I'm gonna go down a dark alley, you know, stuff like that, and I don't care what happens, I'm gonna kick people's ass. Okay, if you want to do that, then you know you're Mr. Macho Man, you go ahead and do that. But the point is that you're putting yourself in a position where you didn't have to be in the first place. So, you know, get some realistic training whenever you can, and you know, depending on where you go. But you want to go over some real life scenarios. For example, like we can have a class, and you know, however many people's in there, maybe 10, 20 people, maybe more, and we have a couple females, whatever, and I'll just say, okay, we've got enough people, let's simulate maybe a park or something like that, a place where you would be, or maybe a parking lot, something like that, and I will take people and I will put them different places, and I will tell one person, maybe two people, okay, you got to work your way a little bit, maybe a couple people, you're the bad guy, and when you see this person, I want you to attack them. They can attack whenever they want. They can do whatever they want. Obviously, they can't really, you know, injure somebody, but you know, it's just for training. But nobody else in the class knows who's going to do the attacking. So, you know, it's you know, it's just a trust system. So basically, this person, female, whoever, will be walking through the park or parking lot, however it is, and out of the blue, maybe you have one person, two people, whatever, and they start attacking you. How are you going to respond? So what we do is, you know, for example, at the beginning of the class, you can do something like that. And at the end of the class, taking everything that you've learned, see if you do anything differently. So that's as real as I can be. If something is too difficult for you to learn, then it's just junk. You got to throw it out. You've got to find something that works for you. That's just the bottom line. I mean, otherwise you're just wasting your time. If you're not comfortable with something, you know, forget it. Luke was talking about, how much time do I got left? I got 2 minutes. Okay. Luke was talking about using things as weapons. Okay. Now, if I'm a big guy and I have something, I've got some sort of an advantage over you, and then I'm gonna feel like I'm safe, and that I'm gonna actually be able to pull it off, getting you or whatever. So Luke talked about the keys, talked about a spray, you know, that sort of thing. Common things that you might have. Well, great. I mean, it's basically an improvised weapon, right? You're going to take something that's part of your surroundings and use that as a weapon, or whatever you have on you. Definitely. But again, you don't want to wrestle with me, and I know that, I think we all understand that. You want to go for vital organs of mine, you know, go for my eyes. They're very easy, very vulnerable. You know, you can kick me in the balls, whatever. You know, that's gonna hurt. You know, it's gonna stop me. But I think the best thing for women is to be very aggressive. You've got to be explosive. When you have got somebody like that, you've got to go all out. You've got to get this person off of you, whatever you got to do. It makes no sense to hit me in the arms, hit me in the chest. No. You want to go for my face, you want to claw out my eyes, you want to do whatever you can do to get away. Now you can use pepper spray, you can use stuff like that, you can use a Kubotan if you know how to use it right, you know, all those sort of things. So you definitely want to find something, get something that's going to give you a little bit of an advantage, and you need to know how to use it. So, you know, like Luke said, if he doesn't know how to fly the plane, he can jump in the cockpit, but he's not going to fly the plane. So kind of put it into a realistic scenario like that. I'll make a part 2 video possibly, but hope you guys enjoyed.